Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are going to be talking about something pretty exciting, and that is one of our final projects. Now, by now you should have learned a lot of different techniques for how to animate and apply motion to a lot of different things, from buttons to modals. You've learned a lot. You've even created your very first project where we were working on that gallery app. Now we're going to start taking that stuff a bit further, and we're going to be applying it to actual situations when it comes to websites and applications. Now here's one we're going to work on, and this is kind of a little bit of an exploration that I put together really quickly. It's basically just like a National Geographic page. You can imagine coming to a website and seeing something like this and then having, these different types of shows pop up and seeing the slideshow or carousel, whatever you would like to call it, pass through. Now, I've got 3 different screens here and all varying in size. And like I've said in the past, the way I've gotten these images was just through using Unsplash, the plugin that I've used a lot of. So this is the structure. Now let's get into this really quickly so I can just show you and we can kind of play around with something. You have these images as well, so don't be afraid to either create something yourself or build upon what I've done. It's super fun. This one's going to be super fun, especially when we get into a little bit more complex prototyping of this one. So what we have here is we have the navigation, and once again using auto layout for everything. So we have the left column, which is set to 40 pixels between items, and I have those items in there, which is this. We have these nav items, then I have a little breakpoint in between, and then I have the right column, which consists of the other items, the search and the login. So we're not even going to really worry about these nav items unless you want to take this further and build something more complex. I'm just kind of showing you what I went through when I was building these, because it could be helpful if you're learning how to use Figma for the first time, or even if you're just learning how to properly use things like auto layout and just frames and structuring your design files. So I've always found this helpful when I've been looking to level myself up, and I'm sure you will too. Now the header here, I just kind of pulled the National Geographic logo. I have the vector in that logo icon, and then they're both in the nav, and you'll see in my auto layout, it's spaced between, and they're centered. So if I were to put that at the top, you'll see that the nav on the right is going to move to the top because it isn't exactly the same height as the logo. So I just put them centered like that. So that's how I created the nav. Now the actual bottom portion is a large text layer, which just says exotic jellyfish. I named this, I know, not really that original. And then I have the container, which houses the length of this kind of show or this documentary, whatever you want to call it. And then I have the watch trailer button with a play icon. And I don't have this connected in any way. It's just there for pure aesthetic. And then this is kind of where the other magic happens. We have the carousel panel. And within the carousel panel, we have a couple of different things. And let me show you that. So we have the main fill, and this is going to be what we're going to be animating right now. And it's just going to switch between the images based off of where this loader is. It's kind of like a carousel that just kind of stops, goes, and then stops, goes, and it's going to switch to deep sea dive and in plain sight, etc. So you'll see how that kind of works. And below that, I have the carousel options. And so these are broken into 3 different things. We have the details, and those are the 3 types of details, and the rules in between. And I have those spaced accordingly. So just 24 pixels apart. And I have the details on a hard fixed width based off of how I want to stretch this. So I can stretch it like that. Really cool stuff. And in the details, the way I broke the details down were in two parts. So I have the detail, the right column on the right here, which houses the time and the date. It also has the title of the show or documentary, and then it has a very large number. So just to showcase 1, 2, and 3. So that is how I broke down the design. And you know what? Let's just jump right in and we're going to get to prototype this really quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take these and I'm going to copy them below. Now I did do some little extra work to the imagery. You can see that over here. If you were to open that, I did mess with some of the values to just make them pop a bit, but I will show you how I even manipulated those values as I created another effect afterwards. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just keep this really simple. We are going to work on just making sure that we have this set to 1. And then when this then when it gets to this, it's going to change. And then when it gets to this one, I seem to have lost the fill on this one. Or maybe the fill is there. Where did you go? It's okay, we will replace you. And then the fill will change right here. So we're going to need to create some stopping points in between. So we're just going to duplicate, we're going to duplicate that page. So if you don't have enough room for the page to actually be duplicated, it'll just kind of go to the next spot on the right. So we're going to duplicate that page. We're going to bring that in and we're going to duplicate this page. We will bring that in. And then we're going to duplicate this page. And I'll tell you why. Because we want this image to be there the entire time. So even if it does, get to this point, we want that to be a pretty quick transition to here, and then it can continue onward. Same with this. We want to see this image for the entire time as well. So we're just going to have to expand that. And then same with this image. So the way we are going to connect this prototype is pretty simple. What we're going to do is it's all going to be done by after delay. Oh, it's for some reason, oh, it already has an after delay on there. That's why. So we'll just kind of start the delay. And we are going to go to this screen right there. And we will do, let's do 5,000. Actually, let's do 4,000. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do smart animate. So if you already want to see this, we'll just kind of do it right now. So we're just going to have to restart it. So you can kind of see what that's going to look like. We have that loader going. And then we are going to make a quick change that is nearly instantaneous. So this is going to be, again, we have that there already. So we're going to have to find. Okay, so this can be 300 milliseconds. If you want, we can even try and see what Smart Animate does in this instance. Okay, so it just kind of applies a nice dissolve. So we're fine with that. And here is where we are going to just ramp up how fast we are able to do this. So remember 4,000, 1, 2, 3. So we got 4,000, and here I'm gonna remove this delay that seems to have copied over. We'll do it again. It's just easier that way instead of searching for the exact frame. I always just like dragging that over. So we'll do it over here. Remember 4,000. Perfect. And that is going to be the end. And if we really wanted to loop it back, we can do something like this. Oh, see, I forgot again. What we're going to do is we're just going to loop it back like this. After delay, we'll do maybe after like 200 milliseconds. We'll just dissolve it, and it'll take us 300 milliseconds to do that. So the reason why I did choose dissolve in this instance is because the fill is gonna just shrink again, and that's gonna be kind of a weird little animation. So let's see what happens. So we have that, that's gonna switch, and then that one. Great. So I think that's actually a very good pass. I can't believe how quickly we got that one done. I even surprised myself a bit there. So as you can see, even on each screen, I have the actual text already highlighted. And that's why I mean, when you're designing and you plan to prototype, just keep it in mind. Make sure your files are really clean so you can go ahead and prototype easily, but also put the proper states for every single section. So in this section, we have deep sea dive. Make sure that has 100% opacity. This one in plain sight, make sure it has 100% opacity. So that way, when it does animate, we don't have any issues. So this was a really easy prototype to make. We're gonna jump back into a more complex one where we're gonna animate the background.